I think there's so many fucking powerful people that are on those lists. There's so many powerful people that went and partied. Air quotes, partied. And how many of them went to the Diddy parties?
What? Yo, wait a minute. Wait, ha!
The temperature changed the moment Joe Rogan and 50 Cent started talking like the Diddy situation wasn't the finish line, but the starting gun. The energy shifted across the culture, from shock to anticipation, from reacting to preparing. When two voices with massive reach speak in code about power, silence, and patterns, the streets hear it loud and clear. This wasn't about throwing names around for clicks. It felt like a warning to anyone who's been moving comfortably behind closed doors. The message landed heavy. Once the wall cracks, everything behind it becomes visible, and that kind of visibility scares people who built their image on control. The conversation wasn't loud or chaotic, it was calm and confident, which made it even more unsettling. Calm talk suggests certainty, calm talk suggests knowledge, and when the calm comes from people who've been around the game long enough to know how secrets move, the culture leans in. Joe Rogan's lane brought long-form thinking, how stories stay buried until one case breaks the seal. 50 Cent's lane brought street math, how favors by silence, and how silence turns into panic once protection slips. Different styles, same direction.
Ask questions like, were their decisions colored by certain things, and who got the benefit of the doubt, you know, in that courtroom?
Do you think that hip-hop culture was on trial as much as Sean Combs was?
Look, if I didn't say anything, you would interpret it as the hip-hop is fine with his behaviors. There's no one else being vocal. So you would look at it and just say, because that mind your business, or let me not say nothing about nothing, or those things, it would allow the entire culture to register as if they're for that behavior.
Social media caught the signal instantly. Clips spread, captions went wild, and comment sections turned into strategy rooms. People weren't waiting to be told what to think. They started reviewing history on their own. Old interviews sounded different. Old jokes felt uncomfortable. Old alliances looked calculated. That's how fast perspective flips when power looks shaky. And once perspective flips, the culture doesn't unsee it. What really moved the needle was the idea of proximity. Nobody needed accusations to start asking questions. Who stood close when it mattered? Who benefited when things stayed quiet? Who vanished the moment pressure arrived? Proximity became the pressure point, not proof, not claims, just patterns. And patterns are hard to argue with when they repeat over time. This wasn't a witch hunt, it was a wake-up call. The culture stopped waiting for official announcements and started reading behavior. Silence wasn't neutral anymore, distance wasn't random anymore. Everything felt intentional, and when that feeling spreads, it creates a spotlight nobody can switch off. That's when the story stopped being about one fallen figure and turned into a conversation about an entire ecosystem that thrived on discretion. The first domino fell, and everyone felt the vibration.
You think that audio that they put out was real?
Yeah, that was him. Nikki put that out there. That Nikki recorded that at the freak off in the Calabasas. She been waiting to drop that shit on Meek.
Oh, man.
She just wasn't gonna tell nobody it was Diddy. But now that Diddy out there, why not?
That's not a diss. Meek likes being brought up in that song. I don't know why you lowering his thing. You think you're doing him a favor. He's very, very happy being mentioned, I'm pretty sure.
Everybody was passed out. Yo, Diddy had that man in the room. Look, yes, I put my ear to the fucking door and I brought the phone because Diddy started going in overdrive. I ain't know what the was going on, but I just heard balls slapping against cheeks. I heard struggling to take. I heard being like, yeah, daddy. Like when he started all that daddy this and daddy that, and then I heard some hollering and struggling. Like, yeah, I kept the phone there and I recorded all this because I was like,
outside, what's up?
Yeah, y'all already know how we playing out this real life.
Real life.
Yeah. You know, Diddy gang, Meek Mill in real life. Don't ever disrespect me, you
Talk
heard?
that shit.
Meek, yeah, Meek.
Hence the idea of who's next took root. The internet went to work like it always does. Methodical, patient, relentless. Fans began revisiting moments that once felt normal and watching them with fresh eyes. Pauses felt longer. Smiles felt tighter. Answers felt rehearsed. And loyalty started looking like fear. That's what happens when the ground shifts under influence. What once looked solid starts looking staged. Joe Rogan's long conversations gave room for uncomfortable truths to breathe, not accusations, questions. Questions about how influence shapes accountability. Questions about why some stories never reach daylight. Questions about how fame changes consequences. Those questions didn't need answers to create pressure. They created awareness, and awareness spreads fast. Once people feel like they've been kept in the dark, they start demanding light. 50 Cent added a sharper edge by reminding everyone how the industry really moves. No fairy tales, no hero edits, just reality. How secrets travel, how loyalty fades when risk shows up, how silence isn't bravery but calculation. His tone wasn't angry, it was knowing. And that knowing tone told the streets something important. The list exists. Not a list of crimes, a list of patterns. And patterns don't lie. Speculation followed, but it wasn't frantic, it was observant. People watched behavior instead of chasing rumors. Who changed schedules? Who stopped posting? Who avoided certain topics? Behavior became the language. And once behavior becomes the story, everyone feels exposed. That's pressure without a single allegation being spoken. This phase wasn't about canceling anyone. It was about watching, waiting, letting the truth show itself through actions. The culture put the industry under a microscope and didn't blink. That patience is dangerous because it doesn't burn out quickly. It lingers, it records, it remembers. And memory is the one thing power can't buy. The result was a quiet recalibration across celebrity spaces. Less noise, more caution. And when caution spreads, it signals fear, not confidence. That's when the culture knows it's onto something.
Diddy party stories, they're our favorite genre of anecdote, if you
really?
have one, yeah.
Wow, okay, I've got a lot I can't tell. Can't tell that one either. I mean, I'm like actually cycling through them. Diddy party stories, man. That was like some weird memory lane.
As the spotlight widened, the conversation shifted from individuals to systems. The streets realized this wasn't about one bad actor. It was about environments that reward silence and punish honesty. When Joe Rogan talked about how deep things could go, it sounded like a challenge to the structure itself. When 50 Cent hinted that some situations could be worse than what's already been exposed, it felt like crossing a line that doesn't get crossed without reason. Fans started connecting dots between timing, influence, and control. Why some stories break when protection fails. Why others never break at all. The culture recognized that exposure isn't random. It's what happens when shields crack. And once a shield cracks, cleanup gets messy fast. What shook the industry wasn't outrage. It was unpredictability. Nobody knew where attention might land next. Music, film, sports, tech, everything felt connected. That uncertainty creates anxiety because power hates surprise, and the culture loves surprise.
You're hanging out with Diddy in his mansion in Miami, and Homeland Security rushes in while you're there.
While I'm there, Dolo.
You're there by yourself.
Yeah. With the, you know, he has some employees there. And
Yeah.
stuff. Yeah.
So suddenly there's red dots all over your shirt.
Yeah. I'm like, damn, this is crazy. And, you know, hopefully the truth will prevail.
Yeah. We'll see what happens.
Yeah, we got to just see how it plays out.
Yeah.
You know, I'm never going to stop being there for someone I consider to be a friend to me.
As you should.
I'm not going to turn my back. And it's like, I've been scrutinized just by being a friend. I guess someone never had a true friend.
Public trust started evaporating in real time. Once people feel manipulated, they don't go back to sleep. They archive, they screenshot, they slow things down and analyze. Memory became the weapon, and memory doesn't expire. Joe Rogan created space for uncomfortable ideas to exist without shouting. 50 Cent made it clear that loyalty disappears when truth knocks. Together, they shifted the culture from passive to alert. Not angry, alert. And alert cultures don't miss much. much. This wasn't about headlines, it was about refusing to look away. The industry couldn't control the narrative anymore. It could only react, and reaction is the weakest position to be in when the spotlight won't move. The fallout brought a strange quiet to celebrity spaces. Fewer jokes, fewer defenses, fewer carefree moments. That quiet wasn't peace, it was recalibration. People started measuring words, choosing distance, adjusting proximity. When that happens across the board, it's not coincidence, it's caution. Fans noticed instantly. Interviews felt stiff, appearances felt guarded. The fun disappeared, and when fun disappears, questions follow. That's how pressure builds without anyone saying a word. This stage wasn't explosive, it was heavy. The weight came from anticipation, the sense that something else could surface at any moment. That tension doesn't fade, it compounds. Attempts to move on didn't work. The culture wasn't ready. Too many patterns were visible. Too many silences were loud. The genie wasn't going back in the bottle. Joe Rogan and 50 Cent didn't need to keep speaking. The conversation had momentum. The culture carried it forward. And when the culture moves, it doesn't ask permission. This wasn't chaos, it was clarity forming. Slowly, steadily, unstoppably. And everyone felt it in the room. Now the spotlight stays on and the industry knows it. This moment proved that silence isn't safety anymore. Influence doesn't equal immunity. Power doesn't scare the culture the way it used to. The rules changed overnight and nobody missed the update. The message landed clear. Accountability is coming from every direction. Public pressure, media scrutiny, and relentless memory. Once it starts, it doesn't stop neatly. It spreads. Joe Rogan and 50 Cent didn't drop names. They exposed a mindset, a shift where polished stories don't beat patterns and confidence doesn't beat consistency. That shift is permanent. The industry is adjusting in real time. Some will survive it, some won't. But the culture isn't turning back. If this breakdown added value, hit like, subscribe, and stay locked in because the exposure era is rolling forward and the next chapter is already loading.